It's been about a year since I started my journey into film photography. Initially, I was too intimidated by it, and I naively thought that you could easily recreate the same look through digital editing. But after lots of correction and a lot of encouragement, I started my journey into shooting film. And I've been kind of dabbling here and there for about a year now. So I have a lot of thoughts to share, and I also have lots of photos that I've never shared on here nor on Instagram, so we're going to change that today. When I first started, the first camera I started out with was the Kodak Ektar H35. It was gifted to me for my birthday from Sam, and it was honestly the best camera I could have started out with. It's very lightweight, it's very easy to use. For it feeling like a toy, it gets the job done and acted as my training wheels for starting out. So I bought some Fujifilm 200 because out of all of the different stocks, Fujifilm is the color palette that I like the most. I really like how the greens show up, so I wanted to play around with that a little bit. And my first photo session with it was taking portraits of my friend Sydney. We planned this lovely day to go out and shoot these very Americanized version of a European holiday. I remember feeling very anxious that day because I had no idea what the photos looked like, and it was my first time using the camera, so I didn't know if I did it properly, like loading it and everything, if it was progressing the roll or anything like that. I thought that starting with a half-frame camera would have been the best for me because shooting digitally, I maybe leave a session with over 100 photos. I tend to overshoot, so I thought I was easily going to blow through this roll, but with forcing myself to slow down and shoot intentionally, I found that I had so much of the roll left over. And so I took it to a maternity shoot that I did, and I took a little bit of candids with that roll, and I love those photos so much. They're not perfect by any means. Some of them, the composition's a little off, or it's just a little too underexposed, but I adore them. They're such a breath of fresh air for me. I don't know, just creatively, I felt invigorated. I felt like I had achieved a new level of creativity and the possibilities of what I could make with my art and my photography. I wanted to do so much more. Unfortunately, I wouldn't get to shooting film again until later that autumn when I went to San Antonio for a wedding, and I really wanted this new roll of Fujifilm and my half-frame camera to be full of candids and memories. I have so many photos of my family at family reunions and going on vacations that were shot on film and printed out on, little 6x4s, and I adore those photos. I have so many stored away that I one day want to put into a scrapbook. I want to be able to add my own photos to that as I get older. And I also just love to have them framed around the apartment, and they're just very special memories, capturing those moments. So I really wanted this next roll of Fujifilm to be that for me. So I started with the wedding, and it goes into Halloween and then Christmas at the lake house. And I just love all of these wonderful memories. And it took me forever to finish this roll, which I love because as film is a bit of a pricier expense than shooting digitally, I love that I can get so much out of a roll. I wish that I could have seen these photos sooner because I forgot some of the photos that I took on it, which is always like a nice surprise when you get it back, but I just wish I had them sooner. But I can share them now, so there's no expiration date on art. But I remember when I got that roll back, and I was so nostalgic, even though it wasn't that long ago, but it was just really nice to remember, like, oh yeah, I took that photo, or oh, I remember that moment, because sometimes you can just get caught up in life and forget those things. So it's nice to be able to look back. And I feel like film, because it just has that built-in nostalgic atmosphere to it, it suits candids really, really well. I adore them. I think they're so beautiful. The lake house photos of my friends I love, and there's some of Sam and some of that property, and that property is something that he grew up going to, and so it feels really special to be able to have photos of it. They're very special, very sentimental. My last roll of film that I shot successfully was the Kodak 200 expired film. And I have mixed feelings about that film, as I have moved on from the negative feelings. They've grown on me, especially after I got to tweak them a little bit myself in Photoshop. They're not quite to where I want the colors yet, but I need more practice with that, and it's great to be able to practice with those photos. I like them more than I did even when I put out the video about that roll of film. Even though I still feel a little bit of the sting of the failure, I do think that they're very fun photos, and they do have a certain look to them. And as I look at other people's rolls of expired film, it makes me feel like I'm not too far off base with them. So I feel a little less of a failure. I wouldn't quite say successful, but I feel a little bit less of a failure with them. I really wish that I could have spent the time to research that Minolta before I tried to load that roll of Fujifilm, and completely wound it up and couldn't feed it back into the camera, because I really would have liked to have seen what I could have done. And that's something that I'm just going to have to work on. The more that I take the time to learn film and get familiar with my cameras, I know the more successful I will be. I have so many ideas of what I want to do, but I also have so many other ideas that I want to do with my speed lights and my DSLR, and so it's a give and take right now. My goals for the future are to really push myself to shoot film more often, whether it be candids or portraits or even street photography, which I don't really ever do, but it would be good practice. I really want to make an effort to use film more often. And if that means that I have 3 rolls and 3 different cameras going at a time, then so be it. I'm forcing myself to push myself so that way I can be a better photographer and feel more comfortable with film, and also maybe get some of these mistakes out of the way so I can progress. So final wrap up. I've learned a lot. I've learned that you can get close to film emulation digitally, but there's just something different about true film. And I haven't even stepped a toe into the world of developing at home. I don't know if that's something I will ever do. I have plans to shoot black and white soon, but I don't think I'm gonna develop those my first go round myself. But maybe in the future, who knows? As of right now, I have a really awesome lab that's really close by, so I'm just gonna continue to use them. You can't beat true film. As frustrating as it can be, it's equally rewarding, and I'm really excited to see what I can do with it. But that pretty much sums up my first year of film. I know I didn't do as much as I would have hoped for. I'm very proud of myself for stepping outside of my comfort zone and learning film, even if it's a slow progress. And I don't think that there's anything wrong with that, to take your time, because for me, film is something that is an expression of my personal work. And so being able to take my time with it and not necessarily force myself when I'm not feeling that creative spark for it, I think is okay, because I don't want to pick up film and have it feel like a chore. Right now, every time I pick it up, I'm very excited until it beats me down. I don't want it to feel like a chore. I really want it to continue to be a very exciting aspect of photography for me. Not that digital's not exciting, it's just film right now is entirely personal. And as soon as you monetize an aspect of your art, you lose a little bit of spark for it. And so right now I just really like how film for me feels untainted in that regard, if that makes sense. So that's my first year. I hope that you have enjoyed looking at the bits and pieces of photos kind of sprinkled here and there. I really have only used Fujifilm for the year, and eventually I want to try out Cinestill, but for right now I'm just going to keep shooting Fuji because I really like it. But I hope that you enjoyed this video. I hope that if you like film, that you can maybe offer me some advice and suggestions kindly, as I am very new and a very sensitive gal. If you have any advice that maybe you can offer, then I'd appreciate it. And if you're new to film like me, just know that you're not alone. We're figuring it out together, with or without help, and it's a fun time. So that's all that I have for you today. I hope that you enjoyed, and if you would like to see more of my face, you can subscribe, leave a like, all the good YouTube jazz, and I'll see you next time. Bye!